Hello everyone, I'm Vaishanan, and today I will be talking about the 2021 movie Coda. Coda follows a mostly deaf family, the Rossis, and examines how they are able to work together as a family to deal with problems while also maintaining their individuality and their personal goals and dreams. The main character is the titular coda, Ruby Rossi, the only hearing member of her family. After joining her high school's choir to impress the most generic white boy you've ever seen, Ruby also helps her father and her brother on their fishing boat before school. As someone who is hearing, Ruby is able to more easily sell the fish they catch and ensure that they aren't getting ripped off. It's also mentioned that Ruby's mother has done some modeling in the past, but we don't know what her current job is, and we don't see her helping with the family fishing until later in the movie. Throughout the movie, we see how the fishing business is beset by increasing sanctions, including eventually a requirement that each boat have an inspector placed aboard. As it happens, on the inspector's first day aboard the Rossi's ship, they drift into restricted waters, and because Ruby isn't there, they can't hear the Coast Guard radioing them, so they get a citation. After this incident, the Rossis are required to have a hearing person aboard their boat at all times, and so, because Ruby is hearing, her family does not want her to go to college. Ruby is quite torn up about this because she is, in fact, good at singing and plans to audition to get into Berkeley. After a series of scenes in which Ruby has one-on-one conversations with each member of her family, as well as her music teacher, she is allowed to audition. At the audition, her family sneaks into the auditorium behind the judges, and despite starting out nervous, Ruby sings with more confidence as the song goes on, as she starts simultaneously signing the lyrics. There is a time skip of presumably a couple of months, and we find out that Ruby got into Berkeley, yay! The movie ends with her leaving for college and happiness and stuff. All in all, I do think that Coda's story, its plot, is nothing too special. I think that a lot of it is pretty typical of what you find in this sort of coming of age kind of high school movie type thing. But the added element of Ruby's family being deaf is certainly worth talking about. So let's talk about
Hey, Violet, who was that?
it. I don't know, some clocky bitch.
You're not ContraPoints. This is a bad scene transition.
I was going to start talking about the portrayal of deafness in Coda, but I remembered what kind of person is going to be watching this video. So here's something that should keep your attention. I know it's not Subway Surfers, but hopefully it's good enough. We'll start with the positives. First off, I think that Coda does a good job of portraying the Rossis as normal, everyday people. I think that, well, some of the struggles they face are, of course, unique due to their hearing status. Many of their problems are just things that anyone could face, like things at work going awry and joining a club at school. Another thing that I think Coda did well was avoid a common pitfall in media about deafness or sign language made by hearing people. To see an example of this, here is a frame of a video by Netflix about Black ASL. The issue here, of course, is that the text entirely obscures the signer's hands, so we can't see what she's saying. Thankfully, though, as I said, Coda manages to avoid this issue. All of the scenes in which signing is featured are well framed so that you can see the signer's hands and face, which is also important for non-manual markers. Now, I said I would start with the positives, and I did, but unfortunately, I don't find this movie to be perfect. The biggest gripe I have with it has to do with Ruby's audition scene at the end of the movie. In this scene, once she sees that her family is there, Ruby begins to use SimCom or simultaneous communication so that her family can also hear her sing. However, I have some qualms with this scene. Well, Ruby is shown throughout the movie. Bastard. As I was saying, Ruby does use SimCom to some degree throughout the movie. However, it's usually just when she's in a conversation with both her family and a hearing person. And so she'll end up only speaking a few of the words or only signing a few of the words in a sentence. However, during the audition scene, she is signing the entire time as she sings. Now, do I think this is theoretically possible? Sure. Do I think that it is realistic or likely? Not really. She is not shown ever practicing her music while signing, and she's also shown during this scene as signing continuously, not in the couple of words every so often style she had been previously. This might not seem like that big of a deal until you remember that English and ASL have two different word orders, so this is near impossible to do on the fly. Despite its handful of flaws, I do think that Coda overall was a good movie. I had a good time watching it, it was well made, and it seemed to do a decent job of what it set out to do. Thank you very much for watching, and remember to like, comment, and subscribe! Oh yeah, she also gets with generic white boy, Awuga.